Will Trump really be banning TikTok?
And will Biden be skipping the debates?
All that and more, only on the Midday Mumbles podcast. Welcome back to the Midday Mumbles podcast, episode 41. I'm Gage.
I'm Isaac.
And welcome back to another episode of the best podcast on the internet. Today we are going... of course. Isaac says
I mean...
But today we are going to actually be talking about something very, very I say it's new. I really say it's newer news. You know, people have been talking about this for probably about a week now.
I feel like a lot of people probably don't know about it.
Well, I think a lot of people know about it because of the fact that...
Probably a lot of people know about TikTok. You know, TikTok is the big thing, but it's more than TikTok, and TikTok is probably the least important part of it.
One of the biggest apps, TikTok, with over 2 billion downloads worldwide, is threatened to become banned. President Trump has said in an executive order that if TikTok isn't sold within 45 days, the app is going to be banned from U.S. markets, which is a huge deal because a lot of those, a majority of Americans are on TikTok of all ages. I'm serious. All ages are on TikTok. I'm even on TikTok now. I got TikTok. And this is big news, but it's not just TikTok that's threatened to be banned. Isaac can tell you more.
WeChat and supposedly Tencent, which is like a studio company. Tencent does video games, and WeChat does it's essentially like Messenger app but for Chinese businesses. Well, I mean it's just a text chat based Messenger app, but it typically I think is used by businesses and stuff for communication.
So I think it's fair to ask ourselves what is Trump's reasoning for banning the everyone's favorite titty dancing app, and I think one of the big things one of the big reasons that Trump and everyone's using is TikTok is a Chinese company, the Communist Chinese Party, and they collect and look through private sensitive user data that TikTok collects from its I mean in the US at least there's probably maybe 200 million downloads from the US. It's huge.
There's easily an amount of people. A lot of people use TikTok. You think 200 million people use TikTok?
I'd say it's probably about 200 million people.
You think
I think, yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta remember they count in individual downloads on multiple devices. Let's say you got someone in America that has an iPad and an iPhone. You know, that's 2 downloads. So I'd probably say 200 million probably.
Oh, but that could be repeat people.
That could be repeat people.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
I mean, it is unlikely, but I don't know. But anyway, this is huge news. And, I think my opinion on this whole thing is I understand. I totally understand where this is coming from. I mean, it's a Chinese company. They are holding private sensitive user data. Their algorithm is secretive. No one knows what their algorithm's like. You know, it could be collecting data when you least expect it. It could be collecting data when you're...
Well, they have been caught with data from Americans, haven't they? I think maybe that was WeChat. Maybe WeChat was the one that got actually caught with Americans' data being stored.
So TikTok, if you're a TikTok fan, don't get worried because there is still the Lord and Savior Jesus is coming. I'm not whatever, but anyway, Microsoft has expressed interest in buying TikTok from its Chinese parent company. And, if the deal goes through in the next 45 days, it'll be because TikTok is one of the largest private companies in the world. It's worth roughly around $60 billion. So that's a huge acquisition for Microsoft. And to get that done in 45 days is that's going to be very difficult, but it's going to be huge.
And they can't acquire them after the 45 days. Because I think a lot of the 45 days are already up.
Well, 45 days means after the 45 days, it gets banned in the United States. Now, they could probably still have an acquisition, but the U.S. market's already going to be banned.
So it would like go down for maybe a couple weeks or maybe a month, and then it would come back when Microsoft had it acquired. I mean, if TikTok goes down in the United States, there's almost certainly going to be an app that's trying to clone it that just emerges.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's like Vine. TikTok kind of replaced Vine, didn't it? Didn't it go Vine, and then kind of a little bit of Snapchat was the big thing. And then TikTok.
Well, Snapchat's always been a popular thing.
Well, sure.
It started out to be Musically, and then Musically became TikTok because it's the same company, it's the same product,
right?
So Isaac, I'm going to ask you, what is your opinion on TikTok in them banning it, or WeChat for that matter? You know, put aside your differences with TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, I hate TikTok. I hate the app. So honestly, I really don't care if it gets banned. I understand that a lot of people would be upset if it gets banned. But my outlook on this is for the betterment of, this is for the security of our citizens and our way of doing things. This is to protect the American people. This is a very brave move by Donald Trump. Like this is big, I think.
I mean, this is a lot of young voters.
Right, it can upset a lot of people. This is a seriously bold move. That he values security in our country higher than he values the amount of votes he might get in 2020. Because if he did this right after he got elected, I can understand that because he already has security. But he's doing this prior to being elected.
Yeah. Reelected.
Reelected.
Well,
so that's a big deal. Like that shows character.
But I mean, I understand what Trump is saying because I mean, let's be honest, the Chinese government having access to the data of hundreds of millions of private US citizens is pretty scary.
Well,
that's a foreign country having a
I think I read in one of the articles that it's not only because of United States citizens, but Chinese citizens that come to the United States, they don't want China to be able to keep tabs on them and then punish them when they return to China, which would make a lot of sense because we are a free country that supports freedom. We do not want the communist way of things to infest our country or to even to have any effect on anyone that's ever been in our country because that's not what we believe in. We must uphold that for everyone.
So I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I mean, I use TikTok, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it got banned. It's not going to change my life in any way.
What might affect more people, at least more people like us, me and Gage, probably not too many viewers. I don't know how many viewers are gamers out there, but the company Tencent has a lot of influence in a lot of very popular games. So Fortnite, I mean, I'm sure everyone of all ages has heard the name Fortnite.
Yeah, I had a Fortnite addiction a couple years ago.
Yeah. The company Epic Games is 40% owned by Tencent. And then there's also PUBG. PUBG is like a little bit owned by Tencent.
I played PUBG. So yeah,
League of Legends. League of Legends is a very popular esport game. Yeah. That's big. That's 93% owned by Tencent. So if Tencent goes down, that could seriously affect these games and their availability to United States citizens.
Seeing as though Epic Games is more or less it's more or less American run. You know, the headquarters are in America, and also PUBG is through Steam. I mean, the game really doesn't collect that much user data. So, and Steam is run in the United States. So I really don't think League of Legends, maybe because they have their own launcher, maybe that could be a concern. But, you know, Epic Games, yeah, they have their own launcher, but they're also a huge brand in the United States with tons of games on their, I mean, they're even a game engine that a lot of video games are built on. Mm-hmm. So would those be banned because they were built on an engine owned by a Chinese company?
Yeah, I suppose. Right, because what would you do if Epic Games, because lots of people have bought lots of games on Epic Games, or Epic Games has given a lot of free games away. So if Epic Games had to
cease operations.
Right. How would that work out for all the money that's been put into it in the United States, and how
it
much
would be one
money
of those
people
things where it goes defunct. I mean, but you look at WeChat. WeChat really doesn't have that big of a presence in the United States. I didn't even really know what it was. So that's really not going to affect anything. TikTok is the only app that's going to affect things.
I think WeChat's literally only going to upset people that like to communicate with like relatives in China, and people that like to communicate with Chinese businesses because they're a business person. That's who it's going to affect.
Here's an alternative. WhatsApp. WhatsApp is what they use.
Is that also Chinese run though? Let's do it. Because I feel like this is going to be...
Facebook owns WhatsApp.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because WhatsApp's also pretty used in China, isn't it?
Yeah. Because it's very popular in Europe because you can text and call people just with the internet. So it's very popular. So yeah, I would just say WeChat. I mean, I don't really know how big of a presence it is in China. I hear it's huge. But other than that, I mean, in America, I would just recommend
I don't
WhatsApp.
think WeChat's going to be very impacted by them by being forced to cease operations in the United States. TikTok, I don't think TikTok could survive if it wasn't able to survive in the United States. Because I think
TikTok would survive, but it wouldn't be as huge as it is because a lot of trends that are set on the internet are made in the United States. I mean, you got to think about it. There's 2 billion users and there's only 300 million American citizens. So, I mean, I think there's probably a lot of people on TikTok in Europe, and
sure, but the United States is a massive hub.
Influence. It's a huge influence. Yeah, it's massive because a lot of the trends, a lot of popular music is from the United States and all that. So it's going to be very. I mean, and then what are these music labels going to be able to license music to TikTok? Is that going to be a thing? Is that going to be interfered? So there's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of whats.
Right, because I think I read in one of these articles that. If WeChat was acquired, I think this is one that was talking about WeChat. If WeChat was acquired, they would have to cease all communications with the former owners. Like they can't be doing anything with the people that could be affiliated with the Chinese government. So would that mean if these companies go away in the United States, all United States companies have to cease all interaction with them too? I don't know.
Right.
But I don't think TikTok would do so well without the United States. I think it's very... I mean, I guess I don't know how popular it is in other countries. You said it must be fairly popular.
Like I said, it'll survive if it's not in the United States, but it just won't be as popular. I think the United States is really popular.
Especially if they couldn't... well, music isn't even licensed on TikTok, is it?
I believe in some cases, yes. But, like I said... America sends a lot of the trends.
I think a lot of music is illegally used on TikTok. I don't think the music used on TikTok is licensed legally.
I mean, I don't know then. I mean, you can't just go and add music yourself. They have their own music library, so... Oh,
really? They do?
Yeah. You can't just... Okay. So
then it probably is licensed.
So I don't know. There's a lot of ifs, buts. Really though, I wouldn't really be worried too much about WeChat. I mean, the games maybe like Fortnite.
Yeah, people would be really upset. A lot of younger voters would be really upset if their games all of a sudden were unaccessible.
Yeah,
They'd be really upset.
Well, especially the people that pay a lot of money.
Right, like imagine the people that have dropped like $1,000 on Fortnite skins. If they couldn't play Fortnite anymore.
At the end of the day, I guess all that we need is just wait. Everyone needs to just wait and see what happens. Only time will tell.
Right. Do you think other Chinese companies are gonna also start getting banned though? Because I bet all companies that are capable of data collection are going to start vanishing from Donald Trump.
I think it all depends on what kind of company it is. Video games are a lot. I mean, video games don't really track your data, right?
Well, okay, look at Valorant. Do you know of the game Valorant?
I do know what it is. I have never played it.
It's like a CS:GO Overwatch combination type game. But how Valorant, and I've heard my friends. I mean, I have not done research on Valorant and their systems that they've used. But they have a it's like an anti-cheat software that constantly runs in the background of your computer. If you have Valorant installed, you have to have the anti-cheat software running in the background in your computer all the time. Well, at least from your computer launching, it has to launch with your computer up to you playing Valorant. You can shut off the anti-cheat, but you can't play the game after you shut off the anti-cheat. And you can't relaunch the anti-cheat. You have to launch the anti-cheat as a startup application. That's the only way to launch it.
I think that's kind of dumb, but I get what you're saying.
What I mean by that is I've heard people saying that the anti-cheat monitors other doings on your... Well, it monitors all doings on your computer because it's looking for you downloading cheats and installing them into the game. That's what it's after. It wants to see if you do that. But in order to do that, it just has to watch everything. At least from my understanding. I'm also not a programmer. But it could be heavily used as very heavy spyware on your computer.
I guess a simple fix to that is it can only access the game files itself. You know, it can't look through other files. I mean, that's...
Sure, but there are other forms of cheating that aren't directly affecting the files. Like, I don't think a lot of aim hacks involve direct game files. I think they're probably screen monitoring software, and I think they're probably it just controls your mouse. Would be what I would imagine those cheats do.
I don't have the answers for everything. You know, we're going down a rabbit hole of problems that we have to fix.
I'll be honest, I was trying to get a little more time out of this topic.
I think, me too. I think at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Right.
You know,
but I think we're going to start seeing a lot of games be affected if this is how it's handled. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, I think
it sucks. But overall, it's for the better.
Well,
you know?
I think, I agree with you, Isaac. But I think since like Fortnite and PUBG are more American, like Fortnite has their headquarters in the United States. Donald Mustard runs things, and everything is done in the United States. I don't think that I don't think that would be affected.
Because it was only Tencent only owned 40% of Epic Games, and I don't know how much Epic Games sells their shares. I don't think you can buy a share of Epic Games. So I think Epic still owns more than 50%.
Well, it doesn't matter either way. If we're gonna sit here and say that that's not okay, are we gonna start banning Chinese investors investing into companies? Like that's stupid.
True. True.
We can't say, "Oh, you're Chinese. You can't buy into Wall Street."
We're yet to see if it will.
You know how many Chinese companies? You know how many Chinese companies own large percentage of American companies?
Sure,
tons. I mean, what are we going to say? Sorry, China. You know these aren't. We're repoing or we're banning these companies.
I wish we would be tightening the grips on Chinese companies as a whole. I think we need to start trying to stop. We should start trying to stop the attraction towards building your factories in China, because that's very un-American. The practices they have in China are extremely un-American. It's the living conditions are awful. The factory conditions are awful. The safety factors are awful. The pay is awful. So I think it would be maybe a little bit shooting too far, but I don't think it would be a bad thing if we started to see these Chinese bans coming into other industries besides tech related. Just as a general humanitarian thing, but also we need business in our country. We have healthcare that we make profit off of. Fast food, we don't we don't export a lot of stuff. We import a lot of stuff. So we're draining our country of our money. We're heavily involved in oil, but so is Russia. And that created a big gas problem recently in our country where the gas prices plummeted and the United States oil companies were panicking. And we need to be exporting more goods. We need to be producing more goods and bringing the wealth into our country. So trying to limit our use of Chinese companies as a general thing, I think is not bad. I think we need to do that.
But until there's a good alternative that's either American or European that we're okay with.
If we just shut off all Chinese imports right now, we would be so screwed, especially given the coronavirus pandemic going on right now. That would be very bad.
And this goes full circle with TikTok too. I mean, if we ban, there's got to be an alternative to TikTok. I mean, there's got to be something. We can't just. I was going to say cold turkey. It's not like it's smoking, but we can't just take things away. I mean, it's just not really harming any. I mean, yeah, it is harming data, but I don't know. Well, I guess only time will tell.
Right.
But I think that's as far as we can milk this topic.
That's pretty milked. We got to about 30 minutes. Now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey, I'm Gage from the Midday Mumbles podcast. I strongly believe if you want to start a podcast today for free, you need Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And the best part is, it's completely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer anytime. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard across all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more epic platforms available for free. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started today for free. Again, that's Anchor.fm. One more time, that's ANCHOR.fm. I can't wait to see what you create. And we're back. So Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. Isaac, you like Sleepy Joe, right?
Yeah, well, I like Sleepy Joe. I like making fun of Sleepy Joe by calling him Sleepy Joe.
I do too. Sleepy Joe is an amazing guy. He's a great fella.
He's just a politician because he's riding on the coattails of Barack Obama. That's what I think of him. I don't think he has any capabilities.
So as you guys know, the presidential debate is a very historic thing. The two presidential candidates, the two big presidential candidates go head to head. It's amazing. And because of Sleepy Joe, I mean, I'm just going to call him Joe Biden out of respect, but Joe Biden has shown a lack of ability, and a lot of Democrats are advising him not to do the presidential debate because, let's be honest, he's going to get wrecked.
Fair. If you're saying the Democrats are saying that, don't misuse their words. From what I read from the article that you sent me, because we were just brainstorming ideas, we were reading articles.
Former Clinton White House press secretary Joe Lockhart
said it's because Trump cheats and lies, which is not true, but that's what she says. Don't say that it's because Joe Biden is inept.
His actual words were a fool's errand to enter the ring with someone who can't follow the rules or truth. I mean, and this is Forbes, by the way. All the links will be in the description below.
When is Donald Trump lied to the American people? Maybe he's misunderstood things.
He's brutally honest.
Yeah, he is very honest. That's kind of why people have a problem with him, because he goes on Twitter and he's blatantly honest. Donald Trump, I highly respect and enjoy having Donald Trump as our president because he is so blatantly, brutally straightforward and honest. He says it like it is, and you can't stop him from doing that.
Right.
I think that's a good stance to have in politics. I think sugarcoating politics leads us to not understanding the people we're electing and leads us farther and farther away from the people having say in politics.
But I think you hit the nail on the head there. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He doesn't say, he doesn't make Democrats feel good about themselves. No, he's brutally honest. If there's something he disagrees with.
He's straightforward, and Joe Biden would stand absolutely no chance in a debate against Donald Trump. Even with all odds pointed towards Joe Biden, because that's how the system works. They always favor the Democrat in these debates. trust me, go watch a debate if you haven't. And if you're telling me that that's not the case, it's blatantly obvious.
Let's put Joe Biden's recent incompetence aside for a minute, and let's talk about, he's a career politician. I see this meme a lot where they say, there's a meme of him saying, your government has failed you, and then there's another photo that says, I've been in government for 43 years.
Sure, but the only thing that I know Joe Biden's actually notable for is being vice president for Barack Obama. Which,
exactly, but my point is, Isaac, that okay, Joe Biden. I don't like Joe Biden because I don't like him because he's I don't like Joe Biden because he is incompetent, but also he's a career politician. The reason Trump won in 2016 was because he's not that.
Right.
He doesn't take special interest money. He's not a dirty politician.
Right.
He's self-made. He lives the American dream. His family line, they immigrated to America. They built this great country, and that's fact, right? So Joe Biden is a wishy-washy politician. He says things in the 70s he doesn't, he said something about how black people shouldn't he doesn't want to contaminate black and white people. He was against allowing black people to vote. But I know that's kind of out of context, so I'm not going to go into that. But my point is, Isaac, let me finish. At least Trump's consistent. At least what Trump said in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, which you can do your research. Go back, and there's even a CNN video of Trump on Larry King in 82 and Larry King was, because he was criticizing Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan, for your information, was a Republican. And he took out this full page ad. Doesn't matter. Trump criticized Ronald Reagan for how, he was going about the farm thing. I don't know the policy by heart, but if you want to do research, you can. But Trump's views that he had back then, he still has today. It's consistent. And that's what we like about a politician. Or not even a politician, but that's what I like about a person. Not that their views can't change, but that views that they're very passionate about. They're not going to say, "Oh, you're going to give me $1 million."
Right, and you should be running for president with passionate opinions. You should one, care about the values of the American people, but also you should have your own strong values that aren't hidden from the American people. And that's very apparent in Donald Trump. Now, you already said this briefly, but I do think you have to be fair to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, both of them, because they've both said some pretty not great things in the past. But that was the climate back then. And people do change with times, and they have to change with times, and they should.
If you find a viewpoint that Trump disagrees with now, that you can find legitimately that he actually said from 10, 20 years ago. Yeah, he said terrible.
I'm sure there's things
grab you by the pussy, whatever, even though that was hilarious.
That was a big ordeal.
But everyone says shit, but Trump is consistent, and he'll tell you. You ask him today, you say, "Oh, well, this is something you said years ago." He's gonna explain to you why he thought that. He's not gonna walk away in shame and say, "I know, I shouldn't have thought that." You know what I mean? That's just how it is. He criticizes.
I don't know how that would work out if Joe got as president. I think he would just be puppeted mostly. I don't think he really holds anything really near and dear. Just observing him. I don't know Joe Biden personally.
A guy who can't remember the difference between his wife and his sister probably shouldn't be president. But those cheap blows aside, listen. If you want to vote, if you're a Democrat, even if you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican, right? I'm registered Republican. If there was a Democrat candidate who wasn't a career politician, and I don't agree with a lot of what the Democrats have to say. I hate career politicians in general, even Republicans.
Sure. It's not good. We need term limits for everything.
We have Senator Susan Collins in Maine, and you know what? I'd love to have her on the podcast and talk to her. But I'm not going to sugarcoat things either. She's been in politics for 30 years, right? She's been senator. As long as I've been alive, she's been the senator of Maine. And what has she accomplished? And that goes for a lot of politicians in different states. But the problem is the party picks them as a safe bet rather than going and having some new guy, some new person run for senator, because
we need new
that's
faces.
a risk.
We need risks.
New faces.
We need risks because risks cause new opinions and change. But these parties, for some reason, don't want change. They just want their way. The system is so bad. But what I was going to say is Joe Biden really doesn't have much for fame, I don't think. And I don't think many people know much about Joe. And I think really the hope as far as the Democrats go is that Joe Biden is going to get elected because of the popularity of Barack Obama and because he was the vice president. They're going to associate Joe Biden with Barack Obama because I don't agree with what Barack Obama did as a president, but I think he was very competent, and I think he did stuff. He did stuff in office. He was competent.
I've said that for years.
He just didn't do what I agreed with, and that's, but he did stuff. He was a powerful politician. He was a strong-willed individual. Joe Biden, I just don't see that in Joe Biden.
But I think we could say the same exact thing for Joe that you're saying about Joe Biden for Mike Pence. I didn't know who Mike Pence was before he was announced.
Exactly.
He was just another senator. So I don't think people get all excited. Oh my God, Joe Biden, he was the former vice president.
Presidency.
Well, actually, I agree with a lot of what Mike Pence stands for.
Sure.
I actually, believe it or not,
I think Mike Pence has had more involvement than Joe Biden ever did with Donald Trump.
But Mike Pence, I would vote for Mike Pence if he ran for president, because Mike Pence, sure, yeah, he's a career politician, but he agrees with the values that I agree with, and he has the voting record to stand by that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where politics in America especially is just corrupt.
I would say that's a fair argument for Donald Trump still. But let's look more specifically at the should he debate people. Because if we don't do the presidential debates, what would that mean for our country? We need a platform to understand what people are proposing before we vote for them. We need that. Joe Biden has done virtually nothing for publicity. He hasn't done rallies to share his opinion. He hasn't done debates to share his opinion, besides the ones that are strictly all Democrats. And what do we know about? Do we know enough about the guy to vote for him?
Well, I think that's what the Democrats are hoping for. Because of coronavirus, Joe Biden really hasn't had been required to do too many speaking events. Therefore, the American people have this memory of him in his head of, he was Obama's vice president. Therefore, Obama, very popular president, not amongst Republicans, but he was very popular, two-term president. And I think that's what the Democrats are hoping for. And I think that's why Democrats are advising Joe Biden not to do the debates, because people will learn the actual Joe Biden. I mean, I'm not saying that the guy...
he's kind of a creepy dude.
Well, no. Yeah, he is a creepy dude. But I'm not saying this because I disagree with his politics. I'm saying this because he has problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's Alzheimer's, old age, he has something. And the Democrats would be as sick as to just let him win, sit there for 2 terms, and they speak for him. I could see that. It'd be no different than George Bush and Dick Cheney. I mean, for Christ's sakes, it's the same goddamn thing, but it's on the other side. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, Trump definitely has my vote. But I really am nervous for Joe Biden, and I hope he debates. I hope he becomes a man.
Well, yeah,
throw some balls.
Well, I mean, from what we were reading, Joe Biden isn't saying that he doesn't want to debate. He's saying he wants to debate Donald Trump. But yet, I think the debate date was set super late into it. Now, maybe that's because of coronavirus.
Usually the first debates, there's usually like 3 debates, and it usually starts in like September. That's usually, and then the last one is usually late October. They could
just do the debates but only televise it, and then there wouldn't be an excuse for coronavirus, and we would be able to have them earlier on, and Donald Trump would win.
The election might be delayed, so who knows?
That's another topic that we've already talked about. You could go watch that episode too.
Listen to that episode.
Yeah.
When Trump debated Hillary Clinton, we learned that Trump wasn't just a normal, politician. He was he was going for blood. There's a lot of great things that he said, like dead true things to Hillary Clinton. And I think one of the biggest arguments that the Republicans have, Republican voters, not politicians, is that we need term limits. We need new faces in politics. We don't want the same old anymore, because the same old isn't benefiting us, the American people. They're just in there making millions of dollars. Presidency, the presidency is $100 million job. They might get paid $400,000 to do it a year. Once they get out, they got the book deals and they got the libraries and they get paid to go speak. I think I read like Bill Clinton made like $100 million off from his book alone. So politics is valuable. There's a lot of money in politics, so I don't think it's really all that fair. I don't think you should be running for president to sit there for 8 years and then write a book and make $100 million. But that's the sad truth about a lot of politicians.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
What?
I don't know. I just do you really think there's that much money? Because you have to invest
Obama's
so much money into getting into the presidency. It's very expensive.
It depends. Sometimes the parties and big, we saw that with the DNC this year. They tried the big MSNBC. What was his name? He's like a robot. I think he was gay too. He was like the perfect candidate. I forget his name. I forget his name, but they said he was like the child of Microsoft, MSNBC, and all that. And it's like Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, that's what it is. Pete Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg. Yeah. And like fucking we had Andrew Yang, and then Bloomberg last minute. I don't know. It's
remember all that was
candidates?
An interesting thing when Mike Bloomberg popped out of nowhere for a little bit there, and then
he spent $500 million in like 3 months and then fucking dropped out because he knew he wasn't going to win. He lost Super Tuesday. I think he won like a few delegates from one random state. If Joe Biden wasn't in the race this year, it would have been Sanders. Sanders, but Sanders also has health problems.
I would much rather have Sleepy Joe than Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders is a much more passionate politician. I think Bernie Sanders really means to do work when he gets into office. I just think he wants to turn our country very much. Well, he wants to turn our country very socialist, and I don't think socialism's a good thing. Socialism leads to communism, and then communism leads to China.
Yeah,
give me one example of a communist country that isn't corrupt. Yeah, you can't do it.
Simple answer.
Maybe there's socialist countries that seem good, but they're not America. They don't work like America. I don't think our country would ever really work as a heavily socialist country.
Oh, I didn't know this. I guess in 1988, Joe Biden ran for president.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Huh.
It's interesting. Funny. Different Biden.
It's a different Biden?
No, it's him. It's a different Biden.
Different account of Biden.
Different views, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think
I'd say that ends out the podcast. Sorry, this one's a little bit of a short one. Hopefully the topics were still interesting. We were kind of looking through the news, scratching our heads,
This is now a word from our sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm Gage from the Midday Mumbles podcast. I strongly believe if you want to start a podcast today for free, you need Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And the best part is, it's completely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer anytime. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard across all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more epic platforms available for free. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started today for free. Again, that's Anchor.fm. One more time, that's ANCHOR.fm. I can't wait to see what you create. And we're back to end of the episode. Yeah, Isaac. Brody's not here once again, unfortunately.
But we've been trying to get Brody back. We've been, I do think that there could very potentially be something quite nice coming down the line. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. I would say the topics were interesting, but milked. I am sorry about that. Please comment, like, subscribe, do all the social media stuff. Tell us what you think about these topics. Maybe we can get some engagement going in there. Yeah, or maybe 4 because of this episode. It counts.
Okay, guys. Well, stay safe. Don't get the coronavirus. And I've been Gage.
I've been Isaac.
And we're signing off. Have a good one.
Ya.
Bye-bye.